Good morning, students. From your Vistas test book, we are doing chapter number 7 Evans Tries an O level, written by Colin Dexter. Colin Dexter was born on September 29, 1930, in Stamford, Lincolnshire, England. He is a well known writer and is an Officer of Order of the British Empire for services rendered in the field of literature. He has made Hitchcock like cameo appearance in nearly all episodes of Inspector Morse 1987. Evans Tries an O Level is an engrossing story where the writer Colin Dexter arouses the reader's curiosity and sustains it throughout the narration. The entire story is a battle of wits between the criminal and the jail authorities. Evans Tries an O Level by Colin Dexter. Before you read, should criminals in prisons be given the opportunity of learning and education? So, while we will go through this chapter, we would wonder about this question, and by the end of the climax, we would discuss that whether the criminals should be given an opportunity. Dramatis personae, that is the characters of this novel or a narrative. The Secretary of the Examinations Board, the Governor of HM Prison, Oxford, James Evans, a prisoner, Mr. Jackson, a prison officer, Mr. Stephens, a prison officer, the Reverend S. McLeary, an invigilator, Mr. Carter, Detective Superintendent, Mr. Bell, Detective Chief Superintendent. All precautions have been taken to see to it that the O level German examination arranged in the prison for Evans does not provide him with any means of escape. So the story starts that there is a prisoner and his name is James Evans, and he desires to give an O level German examination. So, all precautions have been taken to see to it that this examination is not a means for him to escape from Oxford prison. It was in early March when the secretary of the examination board received the call from Oxford prison. So, the secretary of examination board gets a call from the Oxford prison, and it was in the initial month of March. It's a slightly unusual request, Governor, but I don't see why we shouldn't try to help. Just the one fellow you say. So, who has called the secretary? Governor has made a call to the secretary of examination board. And what is the unusual request? The strange unusual request is that a prisoner Evans wishes to appear for O level German examination. So the secretary says it's a slightly unusual request, Governor, but I don't see why we shouldn't. So he says that normally they do not get such requests, so he does not have any reason also to say no to the request of Governor. So he says, I don't see a reason why we should not try to help this prisoner. Just the one fellow you say. So when it comes to Oxford prison, it's just one fellow who wants to appear for this examination. That's it. Chap called Evans started night classes in O level German last September. Says he's dead keen to get some sort of academic qualification. So the governor of Oxford prison informs the secretary that yes, the name of the chap, the name of the prisoner is Evans, and he was highly interested in adding to his educational qualifications. So that is the reason the night classes of O level German examination started in the prison itself in last September. Is he any good? So the secretariat asked him, is he good when it comes to studies? He was the only one in the class, so you can say he is had individual tuition all the time really would have cost him a packet if he had been outside. So the governor informs that he was the only one who wishes to appear for this O level when it comes to Oxford prison, and because he was the only one, so you can understand the personal attention was given to him, individual tuitions were provided to him. But if he would have been outside prison, then he would have to pay to the tuitions. That is, it would have been very costly, it would have cost him from his pocket. But right now, the jail authorities are paying for his tuitions. Well, let's give him a chance, shall we? So the secretariat says that okay, let's give him a chance if it's only about one prisoner and if he's really dead keen to um, appear for this O level examination. That's jolly kind of you. What exactly the procedure now? So the governor was very happy and governor said, okay, what are the procedure? What is to be done? How the examination would be conducted? Oh, don't worry about that. I will be sending you all the forms and stuff. What's his name? We say Evans. So the secretary says you need not worry about the procedure or things. The formalities and stuff and forms would be done. And then he wants to reconfirm the name of the prisoner. Is it Evans? James Roderick Evans. It sounded rather grand. And now it's a huge name. James Roderick Evans. Very grand and impressive name. Just one thing, Governor. He's not a violent sort of fellow, is he? I don't want to know his criminal record or anything like that. But no, there's no record of violence. Now the secretary wants to know that this person that is Evans, is there any violent record? He says, I don't want to know, is he into violence and stuff? I don't want to know the reasons why he's held behind the bars. But I hope it's not a serious thing. So the governor says no, he's not having any sort of violence record. Quite a pleasant sort of chap, they tell me. That is, the prison officers and everyone have informed the governor that he's a pleasant sort of a person. Bit of a card, really. That is a mischievous. Is an unusual luck this fellow is having. One of the stars at the Christmas concert, imitations, you know, the sort of thing. Mike Yarwood stuff. So the governor informs that when it comes to Christmas concerts or musical concert in the prison itself during the Christmas season, he's the star. He's a chief. He's the player. He's the chief performer. And imitations, he's into mimicry. He can copy good. And then he gives an example of Mike Yarwood. That is, he was a comedian. So he says, he gives an example that you can understand how he is a good comedian and can copy good. So similarly, Evans is also good at imitating or doing mimicry. No, it's just a congenital kleptomaniac, that's all. So the governor adds that this person, Evans, is a habitual, from the birth, is an habitual thing that he is having the tendency. Kleptomaniac means a tendency to steal, and this tendency to steal is about trivial things, unimportant things. The governor was tempted to add something else, but he thought better of it. So governor thought I should add, but then he thought that the rest things I'm going to take care personally. He would look after that particular side of things himself. Presumably, said the secretary, you can arrange a room where. No problem, he is in a cell of his own. If you have no objections, he can sit the exam in there. That's fine. So the secretary, assuming that the governor can the governor arrange a room for this prisoner Evans to sit in for the examination? Governor agrees that yes, there's no problem. He's in his own cell. If the secretary is okay, he can give his exam in his cell itself. So the secretary agrees to it. And we could easily get one of the parsons from St. Mary Mag's to invigilate if that's Parson means that is a clergyman, Christian clergyman. So the governor says, if you want that, we can also arrange a clergyman who can sit in you can understand it as priest. So if you want, if you wish, we can arrange a priest who can supervise, who can sit for supervision during the examination, and St. Mary Max is a place from where we can arrange one. Fine, yes. They seem to have a lot of parsons there, don't they? So the secretary says, yes, it's okay if we have somebody to supervise, and there are many parsons, clergymen, who can provide a help in sitting for a supervision. The two men chuckled good naturedly, and the secretary had a final thought. So the both of them are having a laughter as if they're good friends, and then the secretary had the final thoughts. At least there's one thing, you shouldn't have much trouble keeping him incommunicado, should you? The governor chuckled politely once more, reiterated his thanks, and slowly cradled the phone. Evans. So the secretary questions that at least one thing I would like to add, that it won't be much problem if you can held this prisoner Evans incommunicado. Incommunicado, that he's not able or allowed to communicate with other prisoners or people around. So governor chuckled politely. That is, it was obviously understood that if exam is there, he would not allow, and moreover, with the prisoner, he would definitely not allow such. And then governor repeated his thanks, and the phone was kept. Evans. Evans the Break, as the prison officers called him. Thrice he had escaped from prison, and but for the recent wave of unrest in the maximum security establishments up north, he wouldn't now be gracing the governor's premises in Oxford. So now the governor is reflecting upon James Roderick Evans, and he thinks about Evans. Who is Evans? Evans is a Evans the Break, that is, he has escaped from Oxford prison 3 times, so he has been labeled as Evans the Break. But now, the recent wave of unrest in maximum security establishment, that is in the north direction, there is highly guarded areas now. So now Evans would not be able to reach out to the governor's premise in Oxford prison. So, and the governor was going to make absolutely certain that he wouldn't be disgracing them, and the governor is going to see to it that this O-level German examination does not turn out to be a reason for Evans to flee the prison for the 4th time. So he is going to make sure that his reputation and the reputation of Oxford prison does not come into question, that Evans does not try to run away from the prison for the 4th time. Not that Evans was a real burden, just a persistent nagging presence. No, it was not that Evans was a burden, but he was a regular person who is worrying, and whose presence is uncomfortable. He would be all right in Oxford, though the governor would see to it personally, and the governor would make sure that Evans is all kept good in Oxford prison, and he's going to personally supervise every bit of things. And besides, there was just a possibility that Evans was genuinely interested in O-level German, just a slight possibility. And in addition to, governor was thinking that Evans was actually really interested with adding up to his academic qualification, and he was really interested with this O-level examination, though it was a very low possibility, just a slight possibility. At 8:30 p.m. on Monday, 7th June, Ivan's German teacher shook him by the hand in the heavily guarded recreational block just across from the wing. Students, I want you to underline this. At 8:30 p.m. on Monday, 7th June. Underline this. So it is Monday, it is 7th June, and it is evening, that is night time, 8:30 p.m. Ivan's German teacher, who was taking his classes from last September in the prison itself, shakes hand with Ivan's, and this is where it is heavily guarded. That is, the security is at alert, and the security is there at the recreational block. At that area, the German teacher is shaking hands with Evans, and this area is opposite from D wing, where the cell of Evans is. So over there, the German teacher shakes hand with Evans. Guten Glück, Herr Evans. Pardon? I said good luck for tomorrow. Oh, thanks, dank schon. You haven't a cat in hell's chance of getting through, of course. But I'm surprised everybody, said Evans. So the German teacher is shaking hands with Evans in recreational block that is opposite to D wing where the prisoners are in their cell. The teacher says in German language, Guten Glück, Herr Evans. So Evans says, excuse me, forgive me, I did not hear. So the teacher repeats the same in English and says, good luck for your examination to be held next day. Then Ivan says, thank you. So the teacher says, you haven't a cat in hell's chance of getting through. So the teacher says to Evans that you do not have any chance of going through this or clearing through this O level German exam. So Ivan says that I may come up with surprise results. At 8:30 the following morning, underline this one, students. 8:30 the following morning, that is Tuesday 8th June, 8:30 a.m. morning a.m. That is the next morning. Evans had a visitor, two visitors in fact. He tucked his grubbly string vest into his equally grubbly trousers and stood up from his bunk, smiling cheerfully. Morning, Mr. Jackson. This is indeed an honor. So 8:30 early in the morning, two visitors come to greet Evans, to meet Evans. So at that time, Evans was putting his string vest, dirty, grubbly means dirty string vest, into his dirty trouser, and he stands up from his bunk, that is bed, and he cheerfully wishes and greets the person, and the person is Mr. Jackson. So he says to him that it is an honor that you have come up in this morning to meet me. Jackson was the senior prison officer on D Wing, and he and Evans had already become warm enemies. So, who is Jackson? Jackson is a senior prison officer of the D Wing block, and he and Evans did not want to see eye to eye with one another. They're warm enemies. And at Jackson's side stood Officer Stephens, a burly, surly looking man only recently recruited to the profession. So along with Jackson, the second visitor was Stephens, and he is a new recruit to the profession, and he is a strong and well-built man. Jackson nodded curtly. And how's our little Anstan this morning then? So Jackson, when Evans wishes him, greets him, Jackson nods in a rude manner and says, how's our little Anstan? And very sarcastically is questioning him that how is our Einstein? Wasn't he a mathematician, Mr. Jackson? I think he was a Jew, Mr. Jackson. So Evans adds to it that Einstein was a mathematician and a Jew, and and Evans was appearing for the German examination. So there's no connection between mathematics and things. So he was pointing out that at the mistake of Jackson that there's no connection with German and mathematics or the Jew. Ivan's face was unshaven, and he wore a filthy looking red and white bobble hat upon his head. Give me a chance, Mr. Jackson. I was just going to shave when you burst in. So at this very time when Jackson and Stephens have entered, Ivan's face was unshaven, and he's wearing a filthy looking woolen hat, and this hat is a red and white colored one. And he says to Jackson that just give me a time, I was just shaving when you have entered or you have burst in, that you have come to my cell.